The Generals of the Yang Family, Chapter 38.
So imagine a battlefield, right?
Yeah.
Like a standard historical cavalry charge. But suddenly, out of nowhere, it totally collides with this wailing wall of literal demons.
Right, yeah.
And then, just to make it even more wild, imagine a warrior in the middle of all this, just turning into a black dragon mid-fight.
It's a profound escalation.
Totally. Because today, we're just completely tearing up the conventional tactical map. We're looking at this space where standard military formations are quite literally superimposed with dark dimensions.
Exactly. And where human grief really just slams right into the terrifying indifference of the gods.
For you listening today, our source material is this incredibly explosive Chapter 38 of the classic Chinese epic, The Generals of the Yang Family.
It's such an intense text.
It really is. And we are just jumping straight into the deep end today. We're unpacking this ultimate conflict against something called the Heavenly Gate Array, and specifically, its terrifying subcomponents, stuff like the Spirit Beguiling Array, and this deeply fortified thing called the Jade Emperor Pavilion.
Yeah, and to really grasp what's happening here, you kind of need to completely discard your modern definition of what a battlefield even is.
Right.
Because when you study historical warfare, there's a comfort in the rules of engagement, right?
Sure, like physics, troop morale, that kind of thing.
Exactly. You look at supply lines, you analyze a bottleneck. But here, those physical rules are, merely suggestions. The real war is happening on a totally metaphysical level.
Which is just wild to think about. We're going to extract these core themes today: loyalty, the supernatural, and the really chilling realization of who is actually pulling the strings of this massive slaughter.
The architects of the war, yeah.
But before we get into the bloodshed, and there is a lot of it, we need to set the stage for you. The immediate context is incredibly dire.
Very.
The Venerable Lady Dowager, she's the matriarch of the Yang family. She and her elite female generals are completely trapped, just deep behind enemy lines.
Surrounded by the Liao forces of the Northern Kingdom.
Right. So the Yang family has to mobilize this rescue mission. But before we get to the rescue, we really need to clarify what we're even looking at. Like, in the context of this epic, what exactly is an array?
That's a great question, because a modern listener hears the word array and probably thinks of like a phalanx.
Yeah, or a shield wall, just a specific arrangement of guys with spears.
Right, exactly. And in a mundane sense, an array, or zen, was indeed just a tactical military formation. But in the world of this epic, an array is a militarized magical dimension.
A magical dimension, okay.
Yeah, it's an elaborate ritualistic trap. It actually alters the physical environment, distorts reality, and literally weaponizes the cosmos. So when an army steps into the Spirit Beguiling Array, they aren't just facing enemy soldiers. They are stepping into a pocket dimension that is completely governed by the enemy strategist's dark magic.
That is absolutely terrifying.
Huh?
You're not just fighting a guy with a sword, you're fighting the actual fabric of reality.
Exactly. And the narrative, it wastes zero time getting into this. It drops us directly into the mechanics of the ambush that traps Lady Dowager Shi in the first place.
Right, because she launches a vanguard attack on the Jade Emperor Pavilion.
Yeah.
She's got the 8th and 9th sisters with her. But they are stepping onto a board where the game is already rigged.
Highly rigged. The enemy strategist just waves a red flag, and this enemy commander named Dong Furen rides out to engage them.
And the choreography of this trap is just brilliantly cynical. Like, Dong Furen engages the Yang sisters, they clash for just a few rounds, and then boom, she immediately executes a feigned retreat.
Which is, one of the oldest tactics in conventional warfare.
Yeah, you pretend to run away so the enemy chases you.
Right. But here it serves as the bait for an absolute meat grinder. The sisters try to press the advantage, they try to flank her, but that's exactly what the enemy wanted. Gongs and drums sound, the northern troops just swarm in, and the entire vanguard is encircled.
The trap snaps shut, and the illusion of a clean, heroic battle just completely shatters right there.
It really does.
Which brings us to General Wang Yi. He's stationed nearby, he hears about the ambush, and he does exactly what, a loyal, heroic general is supposed to do in a story like this.
He rides to the rescue.
Exactly. He immediately mobilizes his cavalry and charges headlong into the fray to save the matriarch. But, and this is the crazy part, he never even swings his weapon.
No, he doesn't.
He rides straight into the Northern Patrol commander, Han Yanqiu, who just casually draws a bow and shoots Wang Yi directly through the heart.
It is a brutal, instantaneous death. There is no epic duel.
Right, no grand final speech.
None of that. A heroic general just drops dead in the dirt. And his leaderless cavalry is instantly decimated by the surrounding forces. I mean, half his unit is wiped out in seconds.
It's so jarring because you expect this grand hero moment. But the surviving soldiers just flee back to the main camp, and their commander, Zongbao, is completely gutted. He just lost his main offensive general.
So to salvage the situation, Zongbao is forced to send in a secondary force.
Right. He dispatches Mu Gaiying with 5,000 troops and Yang's seventh sister with infantry. Their goal is to break the enemy's signaling system, this thing called the Red Lantern Array.
And the secondary assault, it really highlights an incredible tactical ruthlessness, specifically from the female warriors.
Absolutely.
Because the narrative completely subverts the expectation of, like, a chivalrous duel here. Mu Gaiying rides into the chaos, and she sees the enemy commander, Dong Furen, locked in this fierce combat with the eighth sister.
And she doesn't announce her presence at all.
No, she doesn't issue a challenge. She just readies a bow in the shadows and puts an arrow straight through Dong Furen's eye.
Just a total sniper move, an assassination on an open battlefield. It is terrifyingly efficient.
It is, and simultaneously, Seventh Sister's infantry breaches those red lanterns, completely destroying the enemy's ability to communicate or coordinate.
The northern forces are thrown into total chaos.
Yeah.
And Han Yanshu, the guy who literally just killed Wang Yi a few minutes ago, he sees the command structure collapse and just immediately retreats. Doesn't even throw another punch.
They secure the objective. They rescue Lady Dowager Shi.
Yeah, but the tone of the narrative immediately shifts, doesn't it? Like right from the adrenaline of the rescue straight into the suffocating weight of the aftermath.
It's a very heavy pivot. They drag Wang Yi's body back to camp, and the focus just zeroes in on his wife, Dufresne, who actually happens to be present in the military encampment.
Yeah.
She is just left weeping uncontrollably over her husband's corpse.
And I really want to linger on this moment because it grounds this entire fantastical epic in visceral mortal reality. Before we see any dragons or demons or magic, we're forced to sit with a widow whose husband was killed by a piece of sharpened wood.
Exactly. The narrative demands that you acknowledge the human cost of this war. And this introduces a really fascinating sociological mechanism.
Right, the bureaucracy of grief.
Yes. The sixth brother, Yang Yanzi, he approaches the weeping widow and essentially tells her, I am going to make the state pay for this. He goes directly to Emperor Zenzong to petition for recognition and compensation.
Okay, let's analyze the emperor's response here, because to a modern reader, it is staggering. He bestows the title of loyal and righteous duke on the dead general.
Right.
He gives the widow the title of chaste and pure lady. But then he just opens the treasury. He gives their 3-year-old son an honorary official title with a guaranteed court job upon coming of age.
A literal toddler.
Yeah. And then he gifts the widow 12 actual carts filled with gold, silver, and silk. 12 carts.
This is the ancient bureaucracy of grief in its purest form. The state is stepping in to quantify the exact monetary and social value of a soldier's life.
Which feels so cold.
It does, but it's a foundational element of imperial military logistics. Because think about it, if you are going to ask human beings to charge into a death trap, you have to offer an ironclad guarantee that their sacrifice will secure their bloodline's future.
Okay, let me push back on how effective that actually is, though. Because I look at this and I see, like, a medieval equivalent of a corporate life insurance payout.
Right, yeah.
It's like, we regret the loss of your husband. Please accept this mountain of cash and a nepotism hire for your toddler. I mean, does throwing 12 carts of gold at a widow actually maintain morale? Or does it just breed deep resentment among the rank and file who know they're never going to get that kind of treatment?
That is the precise friction the narrative is highlighting. I mean, the emperor's stated motivation is to, quote, encourage future generations.
Right.
It's entirely transactional. It is an investment in the next wave of soldiers, showing them that the empire pays its debts. But you're right to question its emotional efficacy. The wealth is immense, but it is ultimately totally hollow.
Right, because Dufresne takes her titles, she packs up her 12 carts of gold, and she just leaves the military camp. She goes back to her state. The gold doesn't unshoot her husband.
Exactly. The transaction is complete, but the trauma remains.
And that trauma serves as this critical structural pivot for the rest of the conflict. Wang Yi was a peak conventional warrior, and he was neutralized instantly by a completely mundane ambush.
A regular arrow.
Yeah. So the implicit question becomes, if this is what happens against standard weapons, how on earth is this army going to survive an enemy that weaponizes the metaphysical?
Which brings us face to face with the spirit-beguiling array. This is where the tactical map we discussed earlier is literally set on fire.
Yeah, Zhang realizes that standard infantry charges are just suicidal here. So what does he do? He consults Taoist Zhongli Quan.
The fact that they have an immortal as a military consultant tells you exactly how far the scale of warfare has tipped.
Right, like having a god on speed dial.
Pretty much. And Zhongli Quan reveals that the enemy strategist operating this array is Liu Dongbin, who is another incredibly powerful immortal. So the battlefield is no longer a contest of human generals. It's a proxy war between divine beings.
So Zhongbao decides to deploy Yang Fifth Brother. Now, Fifth Brother is not your standard cavalry commander.
No, not at all.
He is a monk, and he commands this highly specialized force of 5,000 Tuatuo, which are essentially these ascetic warrior monks. They're deployed to breach this toxic array.
And the decision to send monks is brilliant because it's a direct counter to the spiritual corruption of the array. These aren't just guys with swords, you know.
Right, they've trained their minds.
Exactly. They are disciplined ascetics whose minds are supposed to be fortified against worldly and otherworldly distractions. So they push into the array, and they immediately encounter an enemy vanguard of 500 soldiers referred to as Arhats.
And the warrior monks just absolutely obliterate them. They slaughter the vanguard. But again, it's a trap. The moment the vanguard falls, this enemy commander named Yelu Na waves a red flag.
A dreaded red flag.
Yeah, and he activates the core of the trap, the Great Yin Array.
This is where the narrative descends into pure psychological horror. Because the Great Yin Array activates, and it unleashes this massive, blinding storm of wailing demons and howling ghosts directly onto the battlefield.
Wall of nightmares.
A text describes it as a suffocating demonic aura.
And these 5,000 hardened warrior monks who, remember, just flawlessly executed a combat maneuver, they're instantly paralyzed. Their minds are clouded. They're struck with profound confusion and terror. They literally cannot move their feet.
They're frozen.
Yeah. Fifth Brother is so overwhelmed he has to chant a magical incantation just to force his own troops to physically turn around and retreat. It's that bad.
We really need to unpack the mechanics of this terror, though. Like, why does this specific magic completely break the minds of ascetic monks?
Yeah, why them specifically?
Well, in Taoist cosmology, yin energy is associated with darkness, the moon, stillness, and death. When it is corrupted and weaponized on this massive scale, it acts like a psychic neurotoxin.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't attack the physical body, it attacks the spiritual equilibrium of the soldiers. Even monks can't withstand that concentration of dark energy.
So Zhongbao realizes that armor and monk blades are completely useless against a psychic neurotoxin. So he consults a heavenly book to find a countermeasure. And I have to admit, the solution he finds in this book sounds completely obscene at first glance.
It really sounds like pure superstition until you decode the metaphysical logic behind it.
Okay, so the heavenly book instructs Zhongbao to gather exactly 49 young boys. He has to dress them in full military armor, but instead of giving them weapons, he has to arm them with willow branches.
Yes.
And they're supposed to march into this demonic storm and literally beat the air with the branches to scatter the, quote, 3 souls and 7 spirits of the demons.
It is a brilliantly specific, ritualistic counterattack. You see, the demons of the Great Yin Array represent corrupted, stagnant yin. To neutralize that, you need the ultimate concentration of pure, unadulterated yang energy.
And that's what the 49 boys represent. Pure yang.
Exactly. Youth, vitality, and male energy are the absolute purest forms of yang. The number 49 is also highly significant in Chinese numerology. It's often associated with rituals for the dead and the transition of souls.
Okay, but what about the willow branches?
Right, so in traditional folklore, willow wood is believed to possess the power to sweep away evil spirits and basically calm restless ghosts.
So it's not a military formation at all. It's a mobile exorcism.
Precisely.
It reminds me so much of needing a highly specific, seemingly counterintuitive loadout in a video game.
Oh, totally.
You know, when a massive broadsword does 0 damage to a ghost boss. So you have to unequip all your cool gear and equip a low-level wooden wand just because the elemental affinities are a perfect match.
That is a perfect analogy. It is a logic system based entirely on elemental affinities, not kinetic force. If the enemy deploys toxic gas, you don't shoot bullets at the gas, right?
Right. You deploy the chemical neutralizing agent.
Exactly. The boys and the willow branches are the metaphysical neutralizing agent.
But I'm kind of struggling to reconcile this heavenly book with the rest of their strategy. Like, Zhongbao literally looks up the solution in a manual. Step 1, Get 49 boys. Step 2,
Mhm.
equip willow branches.
Yeah.
If he possesses a manual for defeating dark magic, why are they flying blind so often? Why did Wangi have to die earlier if they have a literal cheat code sitting in the command tent?
That's a crucial point regarding the limits of human knowledge in this text. The Heavenly Book is not a crystal ball. It's an encyclopedia of cures, sure, but it doesn't give them a diagnosis in advance. They don't know what specific magical array they are facing until someone actually triggers the trap.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they have to bleed just to identify the weapon being used against them.
And the weapon being used in the Great Yin Array is profoundly disturbing. So Fifth Brother takes these 49 armored boys, they march back into the howling storm, and they start whipping the air with the willow branches.
And it works.
It works. The pure yang energy shatters the demonic aura, and the illusion dissipates.
And with the illusion gone, the horrifying reality of the array is finally laid bare for everyone to see.
Yeah, the narrative reveals that the array was being powered by the physical corpses of pregnant women. The Liao forces had literally harvested the dead, specifically mothers and their unborn children, to generate this massive well of corrupted yin energy.
It is easily one of the darkest details in the entire epic.
It's so morbid.
It demonstrates the absolute moral bankruptcy of the enemy strategist. They aren't just killing soldiers, they are violating the natural order. They're weaponizing the very concept of aborted life and stolen potential just to break the minds of their enemies.
And the countermeasure they have to take is equally visceral. The Song soldiers realize that just waving the branches isn't enough to permanently break the spell.
No, they have to destroy the source.
Right, they have to physically dismantle the battery. The soldiers are forced to physically chop up and destroy the corpses of these pregnant women. It's a horrific, traumatizing task.
But the moment the spell is permanently broken, the tactical advantage flips instantly. The enemy commander, Yeluna, who thought he was protected by this impenetrable wall of dark magic, suddenly finds himself completely exposed on an open field.
He panics. He tries to flee. But Fifth Brother, having just endured this psychological nightmare, shows zero mercy.
Not at all.
He catches Yelena and literally cleaves him entirely in two with a battle axe. The surviving monks swarm the disoriented enemy forces, and the narrative bluntly states, not a blade of grass was left. Just total annihilation.
They neutralize the metaphysical threat, but as we are about to see, the commanders operating these arrays are not normal humans who just happen to know dark magic.
Right.
The physical threats are about to mutate in a massive way.
Yeah, because the destruction of the spirit-beguiling array deeply enrages the overall enemy commander, Xiao Tianzhou. He abandons his command post and charges out onto the battlefield to fight Fifth Brother personally.
And we are treated to this fierce, extended martial arts duel. They trade blows for over 20 rounds. The kinetic energy of the battle is immense, neither warrior yielding an inch.
But then Fifth Brother decides to change his approach. He swaps his standard weapon for something called the Dragon Taming Stick.
Ah, the dragon taming stick.
He swings it with massive force and strikes Xiao Tianzhou squarely on the shoulder.
And the name of that weapon, the dragon taming stick, is our immediate structural clue that reality is about to warp again.
The blow lands, and Xiao Tianzhou is violently forced out of his human disguise. Right there in the mud and the blood of the battlefield, his body mutates, expands, and transforms into his true form.
Which is an absolutely massive black dragon.
It's wild. The genre of the story just pivots on a dime. We go from a gritty, tactical military history to a high fantasy monster hunt in a single sentence.
It's incredible.
And what I love is that Fifth Brother doesn't even hesitate. He doesn't, stare in awe at the mythical beast. He just casually swaps his stick for a moon axe, steps into the dragon's guard, and chops the enormous beast completely in half.
And you would naturally assume that chopping the monster in half is the end of the encounter.
Right, but it's not. And this introduces an incredibly cynical geopolitical concept, because the dragon doesn't die.
No, it splits.
The two halves of the corpse reanimate. The severed head flies up into the sky and lands far away in Huangzhou, and the narrator casually drops the fact that it is destined to become the future Fire King.
Right.
And the severed tail flies off in the opposite direction to Tailing Cave, destined to become the Heku strategist who will cause massive future chaos in the Central Plains.
This is a brilliant, terrifying metaphor for the nature of perpetual warfare. The text is explicitly acknowledging that overwhelming military victories rarely bring lasting peace.
It's exactly like dropping a nuclear bomb to win a battle, only to realize the explosion just scattered radioactive fallout across the entire continent.
Yeah, exactly.
You've destroyed the immediate threat, but the ideological radiation mutates the environment and guarantees that totally new, monstrous threats will rise up in the future.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it. The nuclear fallout of this victory seeds the sequels to the war. The narrative is basically whispering to the reader, enjoy the victory today because the war for the Central Plains is eternal. You literally cannot kill the ideology of conflict with an axe.
So bleak. So meanwhile, as dragon parts are flying across the continent, another Song general, Meng Liang, flanks the Sun Array. He encounters an enemy general named Xiao Talon, brutally kills him in 2 rounds, and links up with Fifth Brother. The peripheral arrays are collapsing.
And amidst all this apocalyptic violence, corpses, dragons, demons, the narrative aggressively forces us back into the cold, pragmatic realm of statecraft.
Yes, the capture of Princess Danyang. During the collapse of the arrays, the princess is taken alive by Song forces. Fifth Brother drags her in front of Commander Zongbao.
And Zongbao is running high on adrenaline.
Oh, totally. He's just broken 2 massive magical fortresses, and his immediate reaction is, excellent, drag her outside and execute her.
But someone steps between the executioner and the princess.
Mu Gaiying. And this is so fascinating to me, because we have to remember who Mu Gaiying is. Just pages earlier, she was the sniper who coldly shot Dong Furin through the eye from the shadows without a word.
Right.
But here, she is the one advocating for mercy.
But you have to notice her mercy has absolutely nothing to do with compassion.
Not at all.
Her argument is a masterclass in realpolitik. She forces Zongbao to look past the bloodlust and analyze the political value of the prisoner.
She points out that Princess Danyang isn't just a combatant. She is the biological daughter of Empress Xiao, who is the absolute ruler of the Liao forces. Mu Gaiying argues that killing her is a waste of a massive geopolitical asset.
She's a bargaining chip.
A huge one. She tells Zongbao they must keep her alive in the camp to use as ultimate leverage. And Zongbao, to his credit, listens and spares the princess.
How do you read Mu Gaiying's character here? Because the contrast is just incredibly stark.
I am absolutely fascinated by her. I mean, how do we reconcile the ruthless assassin with the ultimate diplomat? I think she is the only character on this battlefield who truly understands that you cannot swing an axe to end a war.
Right, she sees the bigger picture.
Exactly. Zongbao and Fifth Brother are obsessed with the tactical level, just killing the guy in front of them. Mu Gaiying is looking at the grand strategic level. She knows that eventually you have to sit at a table with Empress Xiao, and a live royal hostage is the ultimate trump card. She is enforcing statecraft in the middle of a slaughterhouse.
She represents the necessary evolution of the military mind. Violence achieves the immediate objective, but leverage secures the actual peace.
So true. So with the peripheral arrays shattered, the demonic magic neutralized, and their royal hostage secured, the Song army must now assault the absolute heart of the enemy's power, the heavily fortified, cosmically defended Jade Emperor Pavilion.
And Zongbao knows that standard warfare, or even elemental countermagic like the willow branches, will not be enough to breach the center. He has to employ something entirely different.
He orders his generals to engage in what I can only describe as cosmic cosplay.
That's a good term for it.
He forces them to undergo a highly theatrical transformation. Huyanzan is ordered to dress up as Marshal Zhao Guantan. Meng Liang must dress as Marshal Guan. Zhao Zan as Marshal Yin, Yu Shang as Marshal Kang, and so on.
Yeah, they are physically adopting the iconography of specific Taoist deities to lead the assault.
Which is just nuts. This is a textbook application of sympathetic magic. In this universe, psychological warfare isn't just about, blowing horns to scare the enemy. It's about hacking the enemy's reality by wearing the faces of their gods.
Let's explore the mechanics of that, actually. How does dressing up actually help them breach a fortress?
Well, in the logic of Taoist metaphysics, the Jade Emperor Pavilion is aligned with specific cosmic forces. By dressing his generals as the divine marshals, Zongbao isn't just putting them in costumes.
He's doing a ritual.
Right. He's attempting to invoke the archetypal spiritual authority of those deities. It's an attempt to literally pull divine power down into the physical bodies of his soldiers to counteract the cosmic alignment of the enemy's fortress.
It's an incredible concept, but unfortunately for the Song army, the array's firewall is just too strong.
It totally fails.
The first assault is a disaster. Huyanzan charges in, but gets lured into a trap by the Golden Dragon Prince. Yu Sheng rides forward, but an enemy mage named Tubjinxi hits him with dark magic.
Yeah, sky goes black, Yu Sheng is blinded, and he gets captured alive.
The sympathetic magic failed because the sheer output of the array's power overwhelmed the archetypes they were trying to invoke.
It's so bad that Meng Liang actually has to completely abandon his divine cosplay, disguise himself as a northern barbarian, and sneak into the enemy camp just to prevent Yu Sheng from being executed.
So this failure forces Zhang Bao to step back and analyze the actual architecture of the Jade Emperor Pavilion.
Right, he realizes it isn't just a fortress.
It's a magical engine, and he identifies the exact components powering that engine.
He realizes the pavilion is being powered by the astrological alignment of the 28 constellations, and it's anchored by 49 heavenly lanterns.
For context, the 28 constellations, or lunar mansions, are a foundational concept in ancient Chinese astrology. They represent the mapping of the sky. So the pavilion is essentially drawing energy directly from the stars.
Since a frontal assault is impossible, Zongbao pivots to a sabotage mission. He sends Meng Liang to infiltrate the pavilion and steal the pearl-white parasol, and he sends Zhao Zan to chop down the sun and moon pearl-black flags.
Because if they can remove these conduits, the engine stalls.
Exactly. But while these two generals are preparing to sneak into literally the most dangerous place on Earth, a vicious political debate erupts back in the safety of the Song Command 10.
Oh, the politics. Zhang Bao realizes that even if the sabotage works, someone needs to lead the final, decisive cavalry charge to break the center. And he wants Emperor Zhenzong himself to lead it.
But a treacherous court official named Wang Qin immediately steps in and tries to shut the idea down.
Wang Qin's argument is heavily cloaked in this faux concern for the monarch. He argues, your majesty is the ruler of 10,000 chariots, the pillar of the state. Why risk your divine person on the battlefield? Let the generals do it. If they fail, the blame falls on them.
It is pure, venomous camp politics. Wang Qin doesn't care about the emperor's safety. He actively wants the Yang family generals to be sent into a meat grinder and fail.
Right, so he can purge them.
Exactly, so he can have them politically purged and executed for incompetence. He is weaponizing the emperor's status to sabotage his own military campaign.
But the 8th prince, who represents royal virtue here, sees right through the treachery. He steps up and delivers a crushing counter-argument.
He tells the emperor that this is the absolute climax of the war. If the emperor sits safely in his tent while his men bleed, morale will completely shatter. The emperor's physical presence is cosmically required to terrify the enemy and solidify the victory.
And the emperor listens to the 8th prince, ignores the treacherous official, and agrees to mount his horse.
This is a profound exploration of the mandate of heaven, isn't it?
It really is. The emperor cannot merely be a manager who delegates violence. To justify his absolute authority over the state, he must periodically prove that he is the central axis around which cosmic victory revolves.
He must be seen as the ultimate conqueror.
Exactly.
And the climax of the battle plays out exactly as the 8th prince predicted. The sabotage mission is a massive success. Meng Liang sneaks in and steals the magical parasol. Zhao Zan chops down the celestial flags. They are discovered, but they brutally kill the enemy commanders, Tu Jinyu and Tu Jingxiu.
And the astrological engine of the pavilion just starts sputtering and failing.
The 6th brother charges into the chaos with his bow and systematically shoots down the 49 heavenly lanterns, completely severing the pavilion's connection to the stars.
The magical defenses collapse.
Yeah, and the 28 enemy star officials pour out, but without their magic, they are totally defenseless. Meng Liang and Zhao Zan just slaughter them in the courtyard.
The invincible fortress has been reduced to kindling.
And in the middle of this absolute carnage, the enemy leader, the Golden Dragon Prince, realizes his empire is falling apart. He jumps on his horse and tries to frantically flee the pavilion.
And who is waiting outside the gates?
Emperor Zhenzong. The emperor draws a single arrow, fires it into the fleeing prince's back, and kills him instantly. Zongbao then fires rocket arrows and burns the entire Jade Emperor Pavilion to ash.
The victory is total, and the narrative makes very sure that the emperor lands the literal kill shot.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second because from a modern perspective, this is infuriating.
I know what you're going to say.
Think about the division of labor here. Meng Liang sneaks into a death trap, steals the magic artifact, and chops the flags. 6 brothers shoots down 49 moving targets. They slaughtered 28 magical officials.
They do all the work.
The generals do 99.9% of the incredibly dangerous, terrifying work. And the emperor rolls up at the very last second, shoots a guy who is actively running away, and gets to claim the ultimate glory. I mean, isn't this the definition of a toxic boss taking credit for the intern's all-nighter?
Through a modern lens, absolutely, it looks like stolen valor.
Totally.
But within the philosophical framework of the text, it is necessary to restore cosmic balance. The conflict against the Liao forces is framed as a rebellion against the natural order which the emperor embodies.
Right.
The generals are merely the instruments, the tools used to dismantle the rebellion, but the emperor is the will of heaven. His final arrow isn't about tactical skill, it is the ritualistic execution of a rebel by the divine sovereign.
It's a sobering reminder of the rigid hierarchy these characters operate within. Even their absolute peak heroism is fundamentally subservient to the state.
Yes, exactly.
But just as the pavilion burns, the narrative takes one final apocalyptic turn.
It's not over yet.
No. The grand fortress has fallen. The enemy generals are dead or fleeing. But the true architects of this entire bloodbath finally step out of the shadows.
The dominoes are falling, and the desperation of the surviving northern forces triggers an escalation that threatens to wipe out everything.
The surviving Liao commanders are being routed. Meng Liang crushes the Vermilion Bird Array. Zhao Zan destroys the Black Tortoise Array. The enemy commander of the Long Snake Array realizes his situation is hopeless and literally just commits suicide right there on his horse.
The surviving strategist, Han Yanshu, is terrified. He runs to his master, Lu Junxi, who we know is actually the immortal Lu Dongbin in disguise, and begs him for salvation.
And Lu Dongbin finally decides to stop using proxies and enters the battle directly.
And the moment an immortal actively participates, the scale of destruction goes from tactical warfare to a localized apocalypse.
A dark magic practitioner named Chenyan activates a spell under Lu Dongbin's command that literally eclipses the sun and the moon.
The sky turns pitch black. A massive, blinding sandstorm engulfs the entire battlefield. The text actually describes the earth cracking and the heavens collapsing.
The entire Song army, which just fought so brilliantly to dismantle the pavilion, is suddenly trapped in total darkness. They are completely blind and on the verge of being crushed by the elements themselves.
Everything they did feels pointless in this moment.
Exactly. All of Mu Ying's realpolitik, all of Sixth Brother's archery, all of Fifth Brother's bravery, it means absolutely nothing. They are utterly helpless against the wrath of an immortal.
It's a terrifying realization of their own insignificance, but just as they are about to be annihilated, the Deus Ex Machina arrives.
The Taoist immortal Zhongli Quan, who's been advising Zongbao, suddenly manifests on the battlefield.
And he doesn't cast a massive counter spell. He doesn't recruit 49 boys. He doesn't even draw a weapon.
He simply raises his arm and casually waves his sleeve.
A single, effortless flick of the wrist.
That one tiny gesture reverses the atmospheric pressure. It instantly blows away the sandstorm, scatters the enemy magic, and restores the sunlight to the sky.
Just like that.
The enemy mage, Chunyan, sees this, realizes he is completely outmatched, turns into a streak of golden light, and just flees for his life.
The apocalyptic threat is swatted away like a mosquito, and this leads to the most shocking, paradigm-shifting dialogue of the entire epic.
Zhongli Quan steps forward and directly confronts Lu Dongbin on the battlefield, and Zhongli scolds him. He says, "Because of an idle banter, a petty argument between us, you have caused the deaths of so many lives."
We really need to sit with the crushing weight of that statement.
I am still reeling from it. Think about the horrific journey we've just taken. We started with Wang Yi taking an arrow to the heart, leaving a weeping widow and a fatherless toddler.
Right.
We saw thousands of ascetic monks psychologically tortured by the wailing souls of murdered pregnant women. We saw human beings violently chopping up corpses, splitting dragons in half, and dying by the thousands in burning pavilions.
So much suffering.
And the narrative just casually reveals that this massive, devastating war was exacerbated, perhaps even entirely instigated, because two immortal beings had a minor disagreement.
Idle banter. It is the ultimate cynical twist.
It's gut-wrenching.
After spending thousands of words meticulously detailing the intense human loyalty, the grief, the intricate tactics, and the heroism, the text pulls the rug out from under the reader. The gods are not benevolent overseers managing the moral arc of the universe.
No.
They are profoundly capricious. They treat human empires like a sandbox, smashing armies together to settle a bruised ego.
It perfectly mirrors two kids playing with action figures in the backyard. They set up these incredibly elaborate battles. They smash the plastic toys together, tear up the grass, And then they just get called inside for dinner,
We leave the toys in the mud.
leaving all the broken, muddy toys behind in the dirt.
And that is precisely how the scene ends. Lu Dongbin doesn't offer a grand defense. He doesn't try to justify the slaughter. He simply realizes he has been outplayed by his master and that he cannot fight fate.
Right, what does he say?
He says, "I now know things have a fixed destiny. I cannot go against it." He offers a brief apology, and then the two immortals literally just summon red clouds, hop onto them, and fly back to their mythical home of Penglai.
They just leave. They fly away to paradise and leave the traumatized, bleeding mortals standing in the mud to clean up the mountains of corpses they created.